Hello, and welcome to the Footy Podcast. To benefit Here's Help. Here's Help is a nonprofit comprehensive rehabilitation and educational agency that's been providing treatment services in South Florida since 1968. For more information on Here's Help or Footy's podcast, you can contact us at 305-685-8201. If you need help or know someone who has a substance abuse or alcohol problem, you can call our admissions office at 305-685-8201, extension 224. If you'd like to make a cash donation to Here's Help and join the fight against drug abuse, call Footy at 305-685-8201, extension 227. Now, here's Footy.
Hello and welcome to the Footy Podcast. I'm Ron Hersey, and we want to thank you for watching our presentation here this morning. And we're on YouTube. You can watch a series of our podcast when you type in Footy's podcast. Well, we want to thank you all for watching our podcast in the past. Thank you for your comments. We love it when you comment on our different episodes. And make sure you subscribe and also click on the bell on the screen below us here so we can notify you when we load a new podcast. We try to get a new episode in the books once a week. We are coming to you from the Here's Help campus here on 151st and 27th Avenue in Miami Gardens. Here's Help is a recovery center for young men who are experiencing substance abuse issues. And this campus, when I first met Footy, when we were together at Y100 around 1982, as I've said many times, was just a small wood frame house up on the corner when they first got things rolling here. And over the years, I've watched this campus grow to amazing proportions. A lot of these young men, because of their issues with substances, have not finished their education. A lot of these guys don't have their high school diploma. And a lot of the focus of what goes on here within this campus is what Footy calls recovery through education, getting that high school diploma, getting some sort of vocational training, and working towards what he calls the replacement life. Substance abuse is a full-time job. These men spend virtually every waking hour either dealing drugs or trying to find drugs or stealing things to finance their drug use, and it becomes their full-time life. So, and it's been years, this pattern has been going on for years, and it takes a long time to reverse that pattern. And so what the counselors and Footy and all the folks here at Here's Help try to do is try to replace those hours wasted trying to acquire drugs and being involved in that community with that replacement life, an education, a vocation, start making a living with honest money and start living the life that most of us enjoy. And to that end, there is this particular facility that we're speaking to you from. This building is affectionately called the radio room. This is the music arts room. We have the recording studio here. Through the glass behind the camera is the music room, which has been incredibly furnished by Gloria and Emilio Estefan. 2 or 3 drum sets, guitars everywhere, amps, keyboards. The young men spend a great deal of time there in the evenings. There's also a computer lab where the young men are taught computer skills, an art class here where they learn, a lot of them learn for the first time that they have a skill in art that they never even realized. And through our good friends down at Wynwood, a lot of the art gets displayed during the art festival. So that's cool. There's also a literal Dade County Public School classroom here on the facility with Dade County Public School teachers where we help them get their diploma or their GED, a couple of dorms. They're putting up a plumbing school, which is going to teach young men the vocation of plumbing. We have horticulture here where they grow a lot of the vegetables and fruits that are used in the kitchen, the culinary class, where young men learn get their food handler's license and learn their cooking skills. That kitchen is amazing. I think of myself as a relatively decent cook, and I would just love to get turned loose in that kitchen. It's been incredibly well equipped thanks to Pepe Badia and our friends at Publix. And the plumbing school, as we said, is going up. So there's a lot of great things going on here, and the whole facility is growing by leaps and bounds. And we'd like to welcome Eddie Marchin here. Eddie, I've been wanting to talk with you for a long, long time. One of our off-campus facilities is the Youth Automotive Training Center, which is where we teach young men about automotive repair. So welcome, finally, to the Footy Podcast.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's great to have you here. We talked a little bit about in the introduction about that replacement life and recovery through education and getting some vocational skills. And Footy, who's been there, done that, when he talks to these young men, he knows what he's talking about. He's been there. But I marvel at the simplicity, although the dividends pay huge, it's such a simple concept. And he says, we're always going to need plumbers.
Yes.
And we're always going to have cars.
People need to fix their cars, absolutely.
Always going to need mechanics, no matter how sophisticated. Even if they move into an electric car model, which it appears we are moving very rapidly, there's still shock absorbers and brakes and things on a car that will go wrong and need to be repaired. So good to have you here. Tell us a little bit about your background. We spoke a little before the podcast. You were telling me you're originally from Toronto.
Well, yes, I was originally born in Trinidad, and I grew up in Toronto. I left Trinidad when I was 8, and we moved to Toronto, and I shouldn't give my age away, but a while back.
Well, that was quite how old were you?
I was 8 when I moved to Toronto, and I spent 27 years in Toronto, actually.
I'm just saying, from the tropical climate of Trinidad to the icy frozen tundra of Toronto, that must have been quite a culture shock.
It was initially, but we were kids, so we had, Toronto was very, very good to our family.
I'll bet. Everyone I've ever talked to who's ever had anything to do with Toronto loves it there. As I said, the only people I've ever met from there were there to dodge the draft. So it's nice to meet someone here for the legitimate reason to be there. So how did you get involved in the world of automotive repair?
Well, it's an interesting story, actually. When I moved to Florida, I started working at Friends of Children, and I was a counselor there, case manager. And
what was Friends of Children?
Friends of Children was a residential level 4 facility. They worked with at-risk individuals that were sanctioned there by the courts. Mm-hmm. And I was there a couple of years, and while I was at Friends of Children, I got to know about YATC, and
that's the Youth Automotive
Training Center. And part of the aftercare was for me, aftercare program they had. I was trying to find things for these young men to do. Found out about YATC, and I went down there. I ended up meeting Terry and some of the other guys down there. And we just hit it off, honestly. I mean, I thought it was a great program from them because, one of the great things about YATC is that it's like a second step for these guys. Like, for example, once they leave Here's Help, they can go into YATC. They're still in a very structured environment. Everything is taken care of for them. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely no cost to these individuals. So it's an opportunity for them to do something constructive and positive with their life. They get to learn a trade. Like Here's Help, we also provide academic remediation. We provide life skills there. So it's an opportunity. And when I took guys there, a lot of very positive things happened to them, in their lives. Mm-hmm. Then through that, I ended up, getting to know some judges and stuff like that, taking kids to court and stuff like that. So, it was a good experience. It was a good opportunity for guys to change the direction change the direction of their lives, which is what, a lot of guys need to do,
Well, what was it that compelled you to get into this, helping your fellow man? I mean,
let's be honest here, financial. I was in South Florida struggling. The Lord works in mysterious ways. But, it's interesting.
Well, no, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, my background, I have a degree in economics, actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But, when I first started doing it, I think something just clicked, something just clicked. Mm-hmm. And I ended up just staying that course, and it kind of like one thing led to the other. Friends of Children ended up closing down. I ended up getting a job at the Broward County Health Department. We talked earlier about this, with SWAT, Students Working Against Tobacco. Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, the gentleman I was working with at SWAT knew Terry Routley.
And
Terry's the executive director of YATC.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I known Terry before, but I didn't know, Terry.
Didn't connect the dots.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Terry introduced me to Steve. Mm-hmm. Terry told me because I was telling Terry I need a job. Uh-huh. So he told me to go to, his words were, Steve can borrow you for a couple of years, so go to the health department. So I did that for a couple of years, and that's, as I was saying earlier, that's where we kind of met Footy with the, when he did the wingding.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
You had a booth there.
We had a booth there, promoting Students Working Against Tobacco. Yeah, that was a great program too, Truth.
Yes.
Yes.
And now, is that still in operation, or is that closed down?
I am not sure if they're still in operation. There may be some forms of it still around, but not like before. Truth was a huge campaign, and it did a lot of good. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It did a lot of good. We had a pretty decent-sized chapter here in Broward County. So then, back to the story.
Yes.
The SWAT closed down once again. And as it turned out, SWAT closed down like the ending of June. Terry said to me, "We got a job for you at the beginning of July." So I was like,
right.
Smooth transition. And
good for you.
That's been on board since then. It's about 18 years now since I've been there.
So what is your title at YATC?
Student service.
And what does that mean?
Basically, we're counselors there. We take care of all the students' needs. So, for example, right now we're in the summer. We're interviewing potential candidates for the upcoming school year. The way YATC works is we work with 30 students per year. That's our limit. We spend approximately $44,000 per student. Typically, we interview over 100 students. So we've got to get from 100 to 30. We get referrals from the courts, from Here's Help, from other social programs. A lot of referrals come from graduates who are referring their friends, etc. So we bring these guys into the school and we interview each one of them. We typically invite maybe 50, 60 of them back for a second round of interviews. Now in that second round of interviews, they come over a period of 3 days. One day they'll do some academic testing to see where they are academically. Second day they'll do some classroom work. And basically we're in observation mode at that point in time. We're observing them to see how they behave in the classroom. Are they falling asleep? Are they getting there on time? Are they Christmas treeing their tests? Because we're looking for guys that that want to change their lives. We're looking for guys that are ready, that want to put forth an effort. A lot of guys say, yes, I want to do this because it looks nice. I was talking to a guy a couple of years back, a kid up at Deerfield, and he said, a lot of guys here in Deerfield, they just want to wear your uniform, man, because it looks impressive in the neighborhood to be walking down the street in a YATC uniform, right?
That's great.
But, but we want to do a little more than that. So after we do those 2 days of testing, then we bring them back for a second interview. Now, the second interview is basically to go over the first interview with the rest of the staff. So there's typically about 7 or 8 of us staff members there. And as a staff, as a collective group, we make a decision. Everybody has their own vote, basically. So, you know, we talk to them for about 10, 15 minutes, and we can ask them various, you know, whatever question we need to ask them about their background, or maybe certain things will pop up in an interview that someone might be interested in. We might want to pry more about certain things. And we'll talk to them for that 10, 15 minutes. After we do that, then we do a vote. And after we interview all 50, 60 of them, then we make a decision on the 30 that we want to work with.
And that must be a difficult decision.
That it is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult.
When you've done that much groundwork, by that point, everyone is pretty much eligible.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Wow. And I know just from talking to the guys here, they all want to be, like you said.
Yeah.
They all talk about wanting to get there, and there's a great deal of discussion about getting in and wanting to be a part of that. So, and we should probably also need to thank. As is the case with a lot of nonprofit programs and charitable organizations and things, there's always a great sponsor, a great corporate sponsor, and we need to talk about them a little bit and throw a little gratitude towards them.
We have been very, very fortunate. You know, Mr. Jim Moran started the program, and he is a huge philanthropist, and I mean, we're blessed in terms of our financial situation. We have a lot of major sponsors, you know, that have donated money. JM Family, Toyota, you know, Tire Kingdom, AT&T. I mean, just major sponsors that the O'Brien Group, I mean, that have donated money to us and continue to donate. We in the past we did a golf classic, a celebrity golf classic up in Orlando, where we raised close to $2 million, which would be our operating budget in a year. I mean, for one weekend, that's not bad.
Yeah. Well, now you talked a little bit about the screening process.
Yes.
And you mentioned there's classroom, but there's also, I mean, the young men at some point you actually work on cars, correctly?
Yes.
So kind of after they finish the classroom, walk us through what happens.
Well, a typical day at YATC. So, for example, the new group that's coming in, so they'll start somewhere around September 6th or 7th, you know, the day after Labor Day. The first 6 weeks, and this year we're actually doing something interesting this year, which I guess we could talk about in a little bit. But the first 6 weeks, they basically spend most of that time in the classroom. And that's because they're learning about the safety issues of the shop, you know, which I should mention, one of the things we do at YATC, we do random drug testing because of safety issue, you know. It's important that these guys know if they want help that they need to stop using drugs. I mean, they're not going to get a job at a dealership or anywhere reputable if they continue to use. So I'll just come and knock on their door and say, hey, let's take a test.
And that's becoming more and more common in the workplace too. So
absolutely.
Something they need to get used to.
Yes, and that's something that we try to drill in their head, is that there's a lot of companies that do random drug testing. You know, that, for example, JM Lexus, which they've hired a number of our guys, and they'll test you Saturday or Friday, and they'll come back Monday morning and test you again. And we've had guys that unfortunately, you know, decide they want to celebrate the weekend because they passed the test on Friday. You know, but the first, like I said, the first 6 weeks, the focus is on safety, learning about the tools, etc. Every day, a typical day at YATC, the students, they do academic work. They go in the shop and actually do hands-on physical repairing cars, and they're in the technical classroom learning about cars. That's a typical day. What we've instituted this year, because of the pandemic, what we did is we only worked with 15 students last year, and part of the year we were actually let's call it semi-closed. We instituted a schedule where once a week, half of the group would come in. So 7 guys would come in one day on Monday, the other 7 or 8 would come in on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What they would do on that one day they come in was do shop for the entire day. So they do 6-7 hours of shop to make up the 1 week because typically shop is about an hour and 15 minutes every day.
Mm-hmm.
So by bringing them into one day, they don't lose any shop time for the week. The rest of the classes were held virtually. The academic classes were held virtually. The technical classrooms were held virtually. So this year, Charles is one of the excuse me. Charles is one of the instructors, automotive instructor. He is the lead automotive instructor.
Mm-hmm.
Charles was saying to me, he said, it'd be nice if we could do like one day of automotive. This thing has really worked out well. So we got a schedule going this year where we are in fact doing that. We're bringing the guys in. They're going to do academics first thing in the morning from 8:30 until 10. And then they're going to do automotive the rest of the day. So every group, we have typically 3 groups. They're going to do automotive from 10 until 2:30. So they get a little extra time in the automotive classroom.
So where do you get the cars to repair?
People actually donate cars to the school, and it's a tax write-off for them. So people, a lot of people donate the cars, and what we do is we work on the cars. If the cars is repairable, we'll fix the cars and we'll give the cars back to the students. We actually give the cars back to graduates.
Wow.
Because a lot of guys, they need transportation, get to and from work, etc., or they might have a family. So we actually repair the cars and give it back to the families.
That's got to be, we talk a lot here about the horticulture guys growing the food and the vegetables, and then the guys in culinary preparing the food, and how rewarding that is for these guys, and to experience that pride, and a lot of times it's for the first time in their life.
Yes.
To do something from start to finish, and be proud, and then to see others, rave about something that you've accomplished, and I just can't imagine getting through that process, that screening process, making it through all of that, and then succeeding in the classroom, and then repairing a car, and then being able to drive that car. That's really got to be an amazing feeling for these guys.
Absolutely, and I think you hit the nail with the hammer there, as they say. A lot of these young men, and by the way, we do accept women, young ladies to the program. A lot of them have never finished anything, as you just pointed out, in their lives. So for them to come in there and actually complete the program, and receive a certificate. We also give away scholarships.
Tell us about that.
Well, it's not difficult to get a scholarship at YATC, by the way. It means showing up on time and just doing what you have to do.
Right,
That's it.
but
it's not a rocket science.
But it's
for them, yes.
Again, like I was saying before, it's something so simple.
Yes.
That means so much, and does so much, and accomplishes so much for their psyche, and that's taken quite a beating for a lot of these guys. Their pride, and their it's been a rough life for them. So to be able to even just have a certificate or something, or a scholarship, and say I achieved this.
Yeah. The scholarship program we send guys to any state of Florida school, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an automotive. By the way, I mean, you have guys that come in there and after 9 months say, you know what, I don't want to get dirty. This thing is not for me.
Right.
I want to do IT. I want to do culinary. I want to do something else. As long as it's something constructive and positive, then we'll support them. And it's helped a number of, countless, countless, and it's good incentive, because a lot of guys come in there, and when we tell them about this stuff, they say, yeah, man, I want that.
Right.
I want that. I want to do that. So it does help. It helps motivate them, and kind of change that path, change that direction that they're going in.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that young ladies are eligible too. Because I'm involved in Here's Help. I tend to think of YATC as being a Here's Help program, and the fact is, as you said, it's not just Here's Help is just one of the small conduits for students. It's open to a wide range of people. If someone who's watching our podcast would like to support what's going on at YATC, whether it would be to volunteer or to participate as an instructor, to donate a vehicle, maybe to extend some monetary support, how do they do that?
Easiest way is to go to yatc.org, yatc.org, or they can give the school a call at 954-428-0909. Once they call us, we'll take care of the rest.
Now, are you looking at this point? Are you in need of any particular? You need instructors?
Cars are always welcome. Because the guys break things. Cars, that's what they're there for, right? They're there to learn. So cars are always welcome.
And as far as instructors, how do you get instructors?
Well, interestingly enough, the 3 automotive instructors at the school are all graduates of the school.
Really?
All 3 are graduates of the school. Yeah,
that's awesome.
All 3 are ASC certified. I mean, those guys are top-notch mechanics. I can tell you that. They're great people. The staff at YATC is probably the best set of people I've ever worked with. I mean, it's just fantastic. And I say the same thing about Here's Help. I mean, honestly, you guys, I've brought a number of individuals to this school to Here's Help for help, and you guys are phenomenal. I'm telling you that you guys do fantastic work here.
Well, like I say, I'm just the mouthpiece for this group, but you're right, and to have been involved with footy since the Y100 days, the early '80s, and to see how this campus has grown, and to talk with the young men that go through this program, and to see them succeed and see them take pride in things that they've done and see them go on to lead productive lives. And like you say, whereas the instructors at YATC have gone through the program, a lot of the young men who are working here now have come through the program themselves. And so it's a lot of times when we interview them, they've only been here for a few days. Some have only been here a few weeks, and they're just getting off of years of abuse, and they're not real pleased to be here sometimes. And when you interview them, they're not real happy to talk to you either. And it's really it's great to see the attitude as the cobwebs start to disappear, and as they start to see what's going on here, and as they start to see the guys who've been here for a while succeeding, and then you see that light bulb go off, and they start to realize, there's really something going on here that I want to be a part of. And when they first get here, we use the phrase "fake it to make it," where you come in and you just tell everybody what they want to hear, and then that starts to just fade away as they start to see what's going on, and the young men who have been here for quite a while start taking the younger guys under their wing, and they start to mentor them, and you just can imagine the conversations that go on in the dorm, because there's a level of trust. Even though they've never met each other before, they know that they're going through the same thing. So there's a lot of, like you say, there's a lot of great things that go on here. And sometimes I tell these guys, man, can I move here? The place has a wall. It's not to keep people in, it's to keep people out. And it's the outside world, I don't want to tell them that, but the outside world's full goose bozo, the supposedly normal people are the ones that are the crazies. And you get here and it's very serene, and everyone's on a mission, and it's a real great atmosphere for young men. So
we've had tremendous success working with Here's Help and having students from Here's Help come to YATC. And one of the first guys, a gentleman by the name of Jason Anderson, this kid came all the way from Kendall.
Wow.
every morning we're up in Deerfield Beach, by the way, and we're talking driving from, or
taking a bus,
train, taking a tri-rail and bus from Kendall to YATC, and he'd get there on time, which meant he probably had to get up 5 o'clock in the morning to get on the train to get up there to Deerfield every morning. So I mean, it can be done. You just need to be motivated. And I mean, like I said, we've had great guys come out of Here's Help.
Well, that's great. Well, as I said before, I'm so glad because we wanted to have someone from YATC for a long time, and so I'm glad that you're here. You're here because you're going to talk to, after we finish here, you're going to talk to the students about what it takes to get through the process and see if there are some young men who are interested. So we're so glad that you are here to tell us about the program, and we're so glad that Here's Help is involved in the program. And we've talked about a lot of things. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of all that's going on at YATC. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you really wanted to share with folks who are watching our podcast?
No, just continue support. That's the main thing. Help the guys at home, help support them, and push them.
Give us that contact information one more time.
Again, Youth Automotive Training Center. We're located at 399 Southwest 3rd Avenue in Deerfield Beach. Our email, phone number is 954-428-0909, and the website is yatc.org.
Excellent. Eddie Marchand with YATC Youth Automotive Training Center. Thanks again for being here with us on the Footy Podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Before we go, I just want to remind you folks, when you're at Publix, make sure you look for Footy's sauce, the hot sauce and the wing sauce.
Have you been introduced to Footy Sauce? Footy Sauce makes it easy to give ordinary chicken wings extraordinary flavor. Footy Wing Sauce is made with a perfect blend of herbs and spices. So what are you waiting for? Pour it on. Footy's Wing Sauce guarantees you a better tasting chicken wing every single time. When you fire up the grill, pour it on. Let Footy be your wingman. Kick your next party up a notch with Footy Sauce. Grab Footy's Wing Sauce and pour it on.
If you don't see it on the shelf, Footy would want me to tell you to ask for the general manager and tell the general manager that you want Footy Sauce on the shelves at the Publix, and they'll do it. And we want you to know that every penny that you spend on the Footy Sauce goes to all the great work that's being done here on this campus and off the campus to help these young men find that replacement life. So make sure you do that. Thanks again so much for watching our podcasts. And again, we love the comments. We keep those comments coming. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click on that bell so we can notify you when you have a new podcast. And we'll be talking with you again real soon on another Footy Podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Footy Podcast. To benefit, Here's Help. For more information about the Footy Podcast or Here's Help, contact us at 305-685-8201. If you need help or know someone who has a substance abuse or alcohol problem, you can call our admissions office at 305-685-8201, extension 224. If you'd like to make a cash donation to Here's Help and join the fight against drug abuse, call Footy at 305-685-8201, extension 227. The executive producer of the Footy Podcast is Sam Zacco, COO of Here's Help.